Greetings, travelers, and meet Double Down, a humble merchant with a simple quest to see how many days in a row he can double a single gold coin. His rules are straightforward, and we're playing on the classic anniversary realms, and every gold farming method is technically on the table, except one. Double Down is a merchant, so that means no killing mobs. His fortune must be made through trade, professions, and crafting alone. So how far can he make it? Day 1 begins with 1 gold, day 2 is 2 gold, day 3, 4, day 4, 8, 16, and so on and so forth. Each day, doubling higher and higher, until the stack gets impossible. And just like any true World of Warcraft challenge, the timer starts at 11 AM realm time, the daily reset. If Double Down hasn't doubled his gold by the next reset, the challenge ends. But, of course, there's a twist. Once he hits the daily gold threshold, he's done. He has to log out and wait until the next day's reset to continue. No working ahead, no grinding extra, just 1 double per day, every day. So how long will he last? And how far can a merchant's wit really take him? Of course, there is one small problem. I don't actually have any gold on this realm yet. So, before the challenge can truly begin, we'll have to build our starting stack up the only way a merchant knows how, by flipping on the auction house. Now, Double Down is level 1, and hasn't killed anything. He's a merchant, of course. So the only items of value he has is just the starting food, drink, and the weapon that a merchant would never use. So, with those sold to the vendor, we have 15 copper to play with. Not much, but enough to get moving. So over to the auction house we go. Now, with only 15 copper, Double Down's options are limited. The best bet? Open the general auction panel and sort by lowest buyout. Now, all the way down here in the super low copper ranges, you'd be surprised what slips through. People just want to get rid of some things, and they don't care if it's a little underpriced. Players sometimes post things for 1 copper that can sell for 10, 20, or even 100 times more. Now, you'll notice on the tooltips that we're using Trade Skill Master. This is just an add-on that pulls in live market data like current price, historical averages, and broader market value, which just helps us appraise things quickly and efficiently. Now, after some searching through the literal gutter of the auction house, I think our best bet is this single silver leaf. It's within our 15 copper budget, and TSM is suggesting it should move for around 30 copper. That's about a 3 times return on investment. So first purchase acquired. Of course, we have 5 copper left, but there's nothing really worth buying, so we'll just save that for later. And we'll post our single silver leaf overnight, and hope it sells. But remember, the true challenge doesn't start until we've got that first 1 gold sitting in the bags. Only then does Double Down step onto the path of doubling day after day. And with the first night under our belt, let's see if we got lucky. Of course not. Sometimes you win big, and sometimes you just get undercut. No worries. Though, we'll dust ourselves off and try again. And this time, after only a few hours, we actually got a sale, which nets us 28 copper, plus our 5 lands us at 33 copper in the bags. Hardly a fortune, but remember, every coin matters when you're starting from nothing. So it's back to the auction house once again, combing through the lowest listings, looking for those little slips and undercuts that we can turn into a profit. And now, of course, we search by lowest available, and this just jumps out right away. The crystallized note. Now, I don't actually know what this item even is, but that's the beauty of being a merchant. You don't even have to. But we're not done yet. We still got a little copper to work with. And a couple other things look promising. Some empty vials. These are posted at 3 copper each, but historically, they go for closer to 3 silver. That's over a 100-fold difference if they move. So into the bags they go. And with even more copper left over, our options are getting slim at this price range, but I do spot a handful of scorpid stingers. There's only 4 of these listed on the entire auction house. And while I don't have enough copper to buy them all, the market history shows that they're worth far more than what they're listed for. And with that, we've got a small but, promising collection of flips lined up. All it'll take is a couple of days to sell, and we'll be finally closing in on that first gold, and truly starting Double Down's challenge. Oh, and if you're wondering, I'm also using Auctionator along Trade Skill Master. It doesn't change the auction house UI too much, but it does make posting items far quicker, and in a challenge like this, where every second could count, shaving off some posting time can make a big difference. So again, let's wait a few hours and hope that these sell. Well, that's a big old no, but at least we don't have a challenge-ending timeline to stress about at the moment. So we'll just repost and try again. And this time things do get a little bit better. We did move a Scorpid Stinger. The problem is, it wasn't even at a profit. We basically just got our investment back, which isn't exactly the gold mine we're hoping for. So I guess it's time to get creative. I spotted these frog stews sitting on the auction house for about 5 copper each. But here's the nice thing. These can actually be sold to a vendor for 62 copper each, which is an instant influx in capital and an instant flip. This is exactly the kind of thing we need to keep us alive this early. And with that buffer, let's poke around and grab a few other items. an advanced manual, and a disciple sash. These look like they might bring in a few silver if we're lucky. But here's the reality check. We're back down to just a few copper. And fast forward, we did manage to sell the sash, which isn't bad, but the rest of the items are moving pretty slowly. And really, all I want right now is to get rolling on the 1 gold challenge. The luck is not really improving. We have a few potential more flip items on the radar, but sales are crawling at this early stage. So instead of running around, let's go make our own luck. What if we head down to the fishing wharf in Stormwind, pick up a rod, maybe catch a few fish to cook up and sell for some gold? Oh yeah, that's right. Fishing requires level 5 to learn in Classic. And as a pacifist merchant, that might be a bit of a problem to hit level 5. And I'm guessing this is probably the case for all the professions. Maybe it's something I should have looked into before embarking on this challenge. But it's the same across the board. So, like all good things, time to pivot. Some of these trade vendors do actually sell some trade goods that can be flipped on the auction house. This should hopefully keep us afloat early on in the challenge while those sales trickle in, and in the meantime, we can go ahead and grab herbalism and mining to bring in some startup capital. Plus, as we're out there dodging mobs to gather herbs, we may just be able to min-max some exploration experience along the way. Maybe on day 2, 3, or 4, we might even hit level 5 to get some actual professions. Exploration alone should give us some XP, but it's only about 45 to 65 a pop, which is a long shot away from getting level 5. Plus, look at this. While we're out here, most of these herbs and ores are surrounded by red or skulled mobs, and they're pretty hard to reach and actually gather. So the farm routes out here, as a pure merchant, if you're not willing to kill any mobs, they're pretty hard to get. Still, we're able to scrape by level 3, fully explore Elwyn, and even start opening up Redridge for some exploration. Plus, we got a few copper in the bag, so maybe we have enough to gather up our first gold. I'll go ahead and min-max this Death to Hearthstone, go back to Stormwind, post all our items, and hopefully, soon, have that 1 gold to play with. So yesterday's adventuring left our equipment a little worse for wear, and without much copper for repairs, we are looking a little bit tattered today. But hey, that's okay. The focus is now on the mailbox, and whether it can give us that start we need to actually kick off this challenge and start doubling down. The mailbox is showing a little promise, with a few sales of rough stone and silverleaf coming through. Not bad at all, although the empty vials didn't move, but more silverleaf, some coal, and some copper ore did. And we're closing in on 40 silver already. Now here's a big one. Our auction of weak flux sold for 52 silver, and we picked that up from the vendor for literally 1 silver. That's the kind of margin we're hoping to see more of. And with that, we've crossed over into 1 gold in the bags. So the first mini challenge is complete, but the actual challenge is supposed to begin at exactly 1 gold flat. So we're pulling down everything else off the auction house, vendoring off all the excess items in our bags, and then, with little negotiation, giving away our excess coin. And just like that, 1 gold on the nose. So, the real challenge? Well, travelers, it begins now. And it's day 1, which means we need to flip, trade, and gather our way from 1 gold up to 2 gold before the realm clock strikes 11 AM tomorrow. No safety net, just what we can make happen in that stretch. And we finally have some breathing room to look into more than just copper and silver flips. And if you're getting started on flipping, one of the better starting categories is enchanting materials. They're great because there's no auction house listing fees, so you can afford to repost and undercut without massively eating into your profits. A few small glowing shards here are listed quite a bit under market value, about 30%. And there's a healthy stock, so I'll buy everything out up to about 2 silver, which will reset the price floor, and I should be able to get an average profit of about 50% on each of these shards. And after the weak flux that was sold in our mailbox, let's head back over to our friend, Edna, the vendor who sold it to us. And since now after buying all those shards we have about 85 silver left to play with, let's go ahead and grab a mix of trade goods to see what else might move. But of course, we'll be doubling down on some weak flux. I'm sure that some of these trade goods won't actually sell, but it's a good tester to see what we might want to double down on in days 2, 3, or 4, depending on how far we get. More data on what the market will do is going to be helpful. Alright, and with everything getting posted back up in the auction house, we'll leave a few silver for posting fees just so we don't run out on that, and we'll have most of these auctions list for 8 hours. It'll keep the fees lower than trying to post for 24 hours, and it'll let me repost later if we need a quick infusion of gold. And after waiting a little bit IRL, it's about 1:30 now. So let's do a quick undercut scan, just to make sure we're the cheapest on the auction house for all of our things that we're trying to sell. And looking at our listings, We've got a few weak flux selling for about 39 silver. These things are pulling their weight. Honestly, it's wild that people buy this on the auction house when the vendor, Edna, is literally 20 steps away. But hey, a profit is a profit. And while we wait for that gold to hit the mailbox, this does give us some time to make some progress before we're forced to stop working for the day. Because remember, we can't leave uncollected sold mail in the box. And once we hit our 2 gold quota for the day, that's it. We have to log out and wait until the reset at 11 AM tomorrow. And in the meantime, we actually did sell some coal, so our bankroll is back up to about 38 silver. And with that, I'm reinvesting into more weak flux and coal, since both of those have been moving. The trouble is, the coal is hovering close to its vendor sale price of about 5 silver, which doesn't leave much margin after auction house cuts and listing fees. So instead of undercutting too tightly, I'll post above at about 7 silver and some change, just enough to lock in a safe profit if it sells, assuming someone will come here and buy out the stock of 50 or 100 if they're crafting. But alright, back out into the world for some exploration experience. And I've been stuck in Redridge. Not just on Coldbound, but also here. I tried reviving at the Spirit Healer in Duskwood, but it just teleports you back to Redridge. So we have to do this the old-fashioned way and try to run into Duskwood to get some of that juicy exploration experience. On the way, let's try to thread the needle between these 2 spiders. I think if we go equidistant between them, we should be able to go by without pulling either. Nope. Classic. Looks like we'll have to run the graveyard a few meters at a time and die a whole bunch on the way. Good thing it's not hardcore. And there we go. Now that we're actually into Duskwood, if we die here, we should res at the Darkshire Spirit Healer. And I don't think it'll take us long to prove that right. Perfect. A little exploration XP gained. So I'll go down the road a little bit, peek in, peek out, get 65 experience here, 75 experience there, and let's Hearthstone back to open the mailbox. More weak flux sales are coming through, which pushes up to 2 gold, 38 silver, and it meets our quota. We've officially doubled down once. And it's only 9:08, which means we're in the nick of time. And the rules are the rules, so we can't play anymore until the clock strikes 11 AM. So reposting, we'll have to wait. And the slash played is sitting at 3 hours and 12 minutes so far, which honestly isn't a bad gold per hour for a level 3. Soon enough, the bankroll might actually outpace our character level. Alright travelers, we've waited out the reset until 11 AM, so let's head back to Edna and restock for the day. Like I said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Weak flux has been moving well, so we'll drop a good chunk of coin there. In our ledger shows from Edna the top performer so far, Silken Thread, Coal, Bruiseweed, and Lesser Healing Potions. So we'll restock a few of those and try to find some new items while we're here. I think these weapon stocks that will be used for guns might actually be worth testing, and who knows, maybe some salt as well. And once that's all bagged, we'll get everything listed and then search the auction house for some potential flips. And using Tradeskill Master here, I'll dive into the item a little bit later, but for now, I'll just run a scan with the Great Deals filter. It helps flag items that are priced below market value without flipping through the auction house page after page. Of course, you still need to check each one carefully, but it's a good starting point now that we have a little more capital. And first up, the Thick Spider Silk. There are 8 listed for about 3 silver each, but market data says they should fetch between 7 and 14 silver, so it's an easy buyout, and I'll get the lot of them. Now the next one is an odd one. Holy Bologna, or Bologna, not too sure. It's a quest item for level 54 priests, and right now there's a handful posted between 5 and 11 silver. But the market value suggests historically it was closer to 1 gold, and we might have just enough capital to buy out all of these low-hanging crops, and reset the market. It's risky, but if we buy 8 or so at about 10 silver each and manage to sell even 1, we'll still be making a profit. So let's go for it. Now these items aren't without their own gimmicks, and this is a unique item, which means you can't hold more than 1 in your inventory. So we can store them in our mailbox, and we can post more than 1 at a time, but if we want to post more than 1, we do have to run back and forth and ferry each one individually from the mailbox to the auction house. It's tedious, but it could pay off big. And we've pushed our capital pretty hard today, especially for a lowly merchant who isn't leveling or farming mobs for drops. So we gotta hope this stuff sells. Alright, after waiting a few hours, let's see the mailbox, and... okay, nothing's moved, not great. We'll do a quick undercut scan to make sure we're staying lower on the auction house. But this might be a little bit of a misstep, I'm realizing, because we're going to go repost them, and we don't have enough copper to relist them. We overextended ourselves on this priest quest item. This is bad, but for now, I'll have to hope a few sales come trickling in the next couple hours so we have capital to repost, because that clock is ticking, and reset is getting closer. Suppose 6:30 now, and thankfully some silken thread is sold. Just enough silver to cancel the undercut auctions and relist. Still, with 3 gold, 44 silver tied up, everything is reposted, but at this point, all I can really do is log off and hope things move overnight. And with that, good morning. 8:20 a.m. realm time. We've got 2 hours and 40 minutes left to hit quota for the day. The mailbox, though, is showing a lot of expired auctions, which is a bit concerning. Maybe our trade good meta wasn't as strong as originally thought. It's time to relist and double check for undercuts. On the bright side, I did notice something. That spider silk that we bought for 3 silver each, actually just straight up vendors for 7 silver. So we'll just go straight to the vendor, cash in on a quick profit, because right now we need liquid capital bad. And while the auction house relists will work in the background, let's make some progress on the character. We'll farm some copper and scoop up exploration XP. Because right now, copper ore might be the fastest selling resource that we can actually gather. And taking the Deep Rum Tran to Ironforge, we can also pick up some of the starter quests over in Dunmoreau. Of course, just the point-to-point ones that don't actually require killing, but between this, the exploration XP, and the copper that we can mine along the way, hopefully it'll be enough to pad the coffers with a few lucky sales. And of course, a cheeky ding to level 4 along the way. I think this is probably the highest level I've ever gotten on a character without killing mobs, which is kind of cool. And while we're in the area, let's grab the Carano's flight path. You never know when we'll need it again. And then push through over to wetlands to run to Menethil Harbor. This will both give us some exploration experience along the way, but if we get the flight path in Menethil Harbor, this will give us easier access to the boats for when we do end up going over to Darkshore later. But right now the clock is ticking and every minute counts, so we gotta make sure we're relisting our copper ore if we're gonna salvage this quota before reset. And with the mailbox cleared at 9:20, let's see how much gold we've really got. Now luckily a few of our weak fluxes actually sold, again, literally carrying the challenge right now, and we only need 18 silver more. And with the copper ore we just mined, I'm pretty sure that'll sell before the cutoff. So we can probably wait on that, and we should be able to clock in. Well, it's 10:30, which is half an hour before cutoff, and it's looking like only our wooden stock sold. That leaves us a few silver short. And checking the auction house, the copper ore did sell, but that won't hit the mailbox for another 40 minutes. And it's only 30 minutes till cutoff. So that means alternate measures. The only off is to take some of our stock and sell it back to Edna for a loss, just to push us over to the 4 gold quota for the day. I mean, Edna needs to make a profit too, and I'm sure we'll be back to buy from her again, so what goes around comes around. And with that, the 4 gold is met, and day 2 of the challenge is complete. Another double down in the books. Of course, it's not 11 yet, so repost will have to wait, but I'm happy that we at least doubled down twice in a row. A close one this morning, but a win is a win. Alright travelers, now with the day reset, we can gather up the copper ore in the mailbox, a few more silver coming in, and get cracking on today's 8 gold quota. We need to make a profit of 4 gold today or the challenge is over. And first things first, let's get everything relisted to hopefully get some sales along the way. And with some of our budget freed up, I'm going to go ahead and snag some more copper ore. These could potentially be sold as a market reset, but what I'm going to do is actually use them for smelting into copper bars. There's about a 10% markup right now in the difference between copper ore value and copper bar value. Plus, we'll get some extra mining levels along the way. And of course, if we don't sell any, we can keep it on hand to do crafts later. So with the reposts up, let's head back into the wide world of Azeroth to get some exploration XP and push for level 5. And luckily, after taking another trip along the Deep Run tram, we've already got the Menethil Harbor flight path, so we can just talk to the Griffin trainer and fly over. And from here, it's a quick boat to Darkshore, although a quick boat does mean about a 5-minute wait because we just missed it, and then a hopper over to Teldrassil. Again, just missed the boat. But plenty of good chat along the way, of course. So we're sitting at level 4 and about half, so we need about 10 bars of XP to reach level 5. and Teldrassil is perfect for this. There's lots of unexplored areas, plus there is a higher number of point-to-point quests that don't violate our no-killing rule here. So bit by bit, we can scrape through the zone, hand in a few quests, talk to some people for other people, and finally, level 5. And that's a big one because it unlocks production professions. We can now train as a journeyman for anything like engineering, fishing, tailoring, alchemy, which will unlock some massive gold farms and more options for us. But keep in mind, the next milestone will be level 10, and only then can we push those professions past level 75 skill. Alright, so with level 5 in the bags, it's time to Hearthstone back to Stormwind. And first up, I do have my eye on fishing. And this could come in handy if we're ever a few copper or a few silver short. And there's always a chance to fish up something unique. That could sell for a good price. And keep in mind, our mining is already at a decent level. So now it's time to pick a production profession. I debated between blacksmithing and engineering, but engineering does feel like the better fit. It gives us a steady stream of trade goods which we can sell, and best of all, you can craft engineering items right at the auction house. A lot of them don't require an anvil, so we can min-max and multitask. So for the purpose of this challenge, we'll give engineering a shot. And hopefully before too long, we can drop mining as our current lifeline and do dual production. And look at this. The first grind for engineering looks like it might be very profitable. Not only can we gain some early skill levels, but we've also got a solid profit path. So one of the base crafts you can get with engineering is rough blasting powder, which is made from a single rough stone. And right now, there's a few hundred rough stones on the auction house priced between 15 and 25 copper. I'll pretty much buy up this whole stock, up to about a gold's worth, and since the stones are so cheap, but rough blasting powder sells for about 1 silver 50 copper at the moment, that's a 5 to 10 return on investment. So, with a full inventory of rough stone, we can settle into the slow crafting process, cranking out blasting powder while we're scanning the auction house. The craft is slow, but we got time. We're not too close to the cutoff just yet. So again, we're back to using the Great Deals function of Trade Skill Master, and I had flagged a few more potential flips. These ones are recipes and weapons mostly. They are larger gold investments, but these one-off items could theoretically turn a massive profit in 1 or 2 days, which could really pay dividends towards our quota, either today or tomorrow. And with the blasting powder mostly crafted, we still do have some more rough stone. And with everything posted, it was a busy day over here in Azeroth. Let's sit back for a while and let the market do its thing for a few hours. Alright, so it's 3:30 realm time to do a quick undercut scan, repost, and check where our auctions stand. Now a lot of our rough stone and blasting powder did get undercut, so we cancelled those, and those are coming in through the mailbox. Same with the rough dynamite. Those might be more of a competitive market, and that's fine, and it happens. But, oh my goodness. Guys, look at this. The weak flux stacks that we listed at 5 each for over a gold actually moved. What the heck? And between those stacks and some single weak fluxes, as well as some rough stone flips and copper bar flips, we're sitting at a full 10 gold cash stack. That is officially double our character's level now. I did not expect this at all doing this repo scan right now. Honestly, we should rename this whole thing the Weak Flux Challenge because this is looking like a pretty meta gold farm. And the slash played at this point is around 7 hours and 28 minutes. A lot of that was exploration, but even so, averaging over 1 gold per hour this early is a really solid pace. And good morning, travelers. Well, I mean, good afternoon. It's technically 2 p.m. realm time. We had a stream today on Goldbound, so we're starting a bit later on the challenge, and the pressure's on all the same. We have to hit 16 gold before 11 a.m., or challenge has failed. And looking at the mailbox, not much has moved after we had logged off, because remember, once we hit quota, we can't keep grinding, but our auctions don't get delisted, so some could technically sell. But let's go ahead and put these items back into the bags for reposting and see what moves. Now, most of the blasting powder didn't sell, but you never know, maybe today is the day. Thanks to yesterday's overshoot, we only need 6 more gold today. So I'm going to post the blacksmithing plans for the Rune Mithril Hammer at 4 gold 99 silver, which is still a nice profit if it sells. But I've left a little meat on the bone, so hopefully another farmer or a goblin scoops up the flip, because we would still hit our quota, and they'd have a nice profit as well. But what do we invest in today to keep the progress rolling? Because the total just keeps climbing. And I'm going to pull up the Great Deal search on Trade Skill Master. Now, this isn't sponsored by TSM, but you do need premium to get the Great Deal search in-game and for the extra online data. It's worth checking out if you're serious. Today, I'm just searching through it to see what might be posted for lower than it should be. It's showing a few tasty patterns, and I might actually come back for those, but at the moment, I do want some immediate flips. So I'm just going to go ahead and off memory and flip and reset a couple markets. Right now, small glowing shards seem to be looking juicy, all the way from 70 copper up to about 2 silver, but the market value is normally closer to the 2 silver mark. So hopefully, if I buy out all the stock up to about 1 silver 80 copper and relist, we might make a good profit by resetting the market. And now while we're at it, let's do the same with lesser magic essence. If we buy out all the stock from about 4 silver to 10 silver, we should be able to make a decent margin on our average buying price. Now, we don't have endless capital, of course, but vendor trade goods have been super reliable for this challenge. Coal and weak flux have been way more profitable than I expected, and I'm hoping to capitalize on these again. Now, this did catch my eye. Something a little bit bigger and a bit more of an investment. Dark Keeper keys. There seems to be 2 up for pretty cheap, and these are juicy. But our current cash stack, we only have enough gold for 1. A little unlucky because if you're going to reset it, you may as well buy both of them. But it's too good of a deal to pass up, so I'm going to go ahead and buy out 1. Hopefully before the second one gets sold, we'll have enough gold to buy it out too. And look at this. Ask and you shall receive. We wait a little bit and the Mithril plan's sold. So we got that gold in the bag. And it's only 4 PM and lots of time to play. And luckily for us, the second Dark Keeper key is still up. So let's go snag it. Now we've got both posted at the proper market value of about 25 gold. That's big moves, travelers. And if one of those sells, we hit our quota. And that leaves us with only 2 gold on hand, and most of our capital's tied up. So, all we can do is wait and hope for some sales. Well, now it's 9 PM and time to check back in. And it looks like some of our salt sold, as well as a few of our lesser magic essences from the reset, which puts us up to about 5 gold, 51 silver. Salt was such a clean flip that I'm going to go ahead and top it up. And same with coal. We need to stick with what's working if we're going to make these gold totals. And with all of our listings reset, and not much more gold to work with, let's leave it overnight and hope for the best as far as sales go. And rise and shine, travelers, it's 8 AM. Big morning mailbox check. Okay, some of our coal stacks did sell overnight, with 5 stacks moving for 1 gold, 36 silver each, which is a massive profit off of Edna. And this brings us up to 7 gold, 78 silver. Still only halfway to the quota, but we have 3 hours, and flipping to the next page, nice. Even more coal moved. And that actually pushes up to the 19 gold total with the quota smashed just off of coal. We didn't even sell a Dark Keeper key. Honestly, if that coal hadn't sold, we might have been in trouble. Our bigger flips are just not panning out yet, so we can only hope for better luck tomorrow. But hey, 19 gold on this day, Double Down stays alive. And that makes, I think, now 5 days complete, with only 8 hours and 15 minutes of slash played, averaging at about 2 gold per hour at this low of level. Not bad at all. Now, all we gotta do is wait till 11 o'clock to reset before making our next moves. Alright, travelers, as you can see, I had to wait a little bit longer today because of stream time. It's already 4 PM, and I feel a little bit behind the 8 ball, because the quota for today is 36 gold. Now we're hitting the point where it isn't just careful trading anymore. It's elbow grease, and to be quite frank, quite a bit of luck, I think. This is no small amount of gold to make for level 5 pacifist, so we better get started. And first things first, we gotta repost our expired auctions. It looks like small glowing shards dropped in price again, so we kinda have to double down on what we did yesterday. Buy out the cheap ones and reset it up to about 1 silver 50, and hope for some more sales. But we do have a lot of expired auctions in TSM. But going back to the mailbox, it looks like we have 3 gold and 83 silver in actual sales. Again, more salt and weak flux moving. Now, I did not expect simple vendor reagent flipping to be this profitable, but it's hard carrying us at this point. That puts us at 22 gold and 14 to go. Now, what can we invest to put it over the line? Let's check out coal. And look at this. The market has absolutely tanked. Some players are actually listing coal for less than the vendor price of 5 silver, which is a pretty consistent seller for us, so I'm going to go ahead and snag all of that below 5 silver, and while we're at it, head back over to Edna to stock up on a bunch of coal for 5 silver. This doubling challenge means we got to make sure we're using as much of our capital as we can, so let's go in deep. 190 coal, a full backpack, and 9 gold spent. It's a big risk, but I'm confident. Coal has been moving, and if we can flip it at 18 silver each, that would be like a 4 times return on investment, so fingers crossed. And fast forward, it's 7 PM now, so let's go ahead and check on the sales. Alright. Only 1 green dye is sold for 6 silver, which isn't too great. All we can do is relist the expired auctions and hope for good luck overnight. I mean, the 36 gold tally is tough. I sure hope I don't regret reinvesting in coal, but good night for now, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. 8 a.m. and time for the mailbox. Okay. Coal is moving. That's the sign we needed. And among the expired auctions are some serious sales. And it just keeps flowing in. I think we've more than doubled down on our coal investment. I guess we can pat ourselves back, and maybe Edna's for doubling down on the coal. In fact, we've overshot way past the quota. With everything opened, we're sitting at 51 gold, which is a massive win, and almost entirely thanks to this coal flip and Edna restock. This challenge is showing just how far a little smart technique and a bit of luck can really go. I honestly didn't think we'd make it this far, but Edna's humble vendor goods, they might just keep on carrying us. And this means our quota for today is 64 gold. Now yesterday we kind of smashed a 36 gold target, so let's make some smart moves and see if we can hit that 64. And first order of business, of course, reposting expired auctions. Even with a decent stack of liquid gold, our bags are still stuffed with valuable flips. Things like the keeper keys that will hopefully pay off down the road. And pulling up the great deal search, something is actually catching my eye. The 7 of elementals. One of the 8 components of the Elemental Dark Moon deck, combining all cards. You get an item that can be redeemed at the Dark Moon Fair for a powerful trinket. Which gets me thinking, what if we snipe a few of these cards up for cheap and relist them? Or maybe even combine them to make a deck. Now there's also the Arcanite Reaper plants up for grabs, which you might remember from my Burning Steps episode, always close to our heart. But my curiosity is locked in on the Elemental set. So what is the Elemental deck actually selling for right now? It looks like there's one posted for 1,000 gold, which is completely absurd. The average price looks more like 100 to 120, and running the math, I think I can actually scoop up all 8 cards, ace through 8, for about 40 some gold. That's enough for our cash stack, and if we could flip it, would make us a ton of profit. I mean, it's risky. We're already so close to 64 gold that investing in the Elementals deck would drop our cash stack quite low and would almost mean we would have to sell it. We could really just flip gold today and be done, but travelers, sometimes you gotta make the bigger moves, so I'm gonna do it. Let's purchase the full Elementals deck, ace through 8. If we combine it in our inventory, we get the actual deck. And now we're down to 17 gold, which is scary low. But the potential, if this item sells, could be a massive profit. Now posting fees are brutal, but I just want a quick sale on this, so I'm gonna list it for 64 gold. I mean, it's below market value, but we don't have much time to sell this right now. So let's wait a little bit and see if it moves. All right, it's 1:30 now, and the deck still hasn't sold, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of feeling like a little bit of a mistake. I mean, who's gonna buy the whole deck when they could just piece it together way cheaper? Maybe trade chat can help, and I can spam /2 a little bit and see if anyone bites. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and invest in some actual bags to make reposting smoother. We're really building up a big stock. We gotta think long term here, even in the short game. So we'll keep spamming trade chat and doing undercut scans. And check out this, it's 2:55 p.m. and the Elemental deck sold. Of course it's like half of market price. With all 8 cards only costing us 36 gold, this sale makes us a tidy profit. And, most importantly, meets the quota for today. And we're at 68 gold in the bags. Day 7 complete. A full week of double down. And honestly, I thought we'd sell at around 16 or 32 gold. But here we are, over 64. And the crazy thing is, we only have about 10 hours played. That puts our realized gold per hour at around 6.8, which is absolutely insane for a level 5 pacifist. And good morning, travelers. Day 8, and the quota today, 128 gold. That's more than the cost of level 40 riding training and a mount. Stakes are climbing. And first up, the mailbox. Let's relist our expired auctions, and thankfully we got our new bags to make this easier. And we have lots of coal expiring, so we'll have to repost these. Edna can definitely resupply us if we need. Okay, what? Are you seeing this? Both of our Dark Keeper keys sold overnight. These are the ones we picked up on day 5 for 3 gold each. And one sold for 47 gold and the other for 21 gold. This is 6 gold invested turned into 70 gold, absolutely wild. And with that, we're actually sitting at 137 gold, with the quota for the day cleared, just like that. We didn't even repost anything today. So, easy day I guess, and tomorrow though, we face the monster. 256 gold. Things are getting truly insane. I didn't think we'd get here. And with our slash played still being under 10 hours, our realized gold per hour is like 14 gold per hour. We are cooking. And good morning, travelers. Back at it again, day 9. 256 gold in the targets. This is getting into the realm of pretty crazy. Of course, first step, mailbox. Still plenty of expired coal, blasting powder. Let's get those relisted. And of course, a better way to start the day than with a great deal search. Most of it isn't worth buying, but we gotta see what's out there. But honestly, after how well the elementals have paid off, it feels crazy not to reinvest. And this time, I'm not just buying a set. I think we should corner the market, sniping the supply of the aces, the 5s, and most of the 4s of elementals. If we scoop up the low-priced stock and relist it higher, it not only gives us potential flips on the individual cards, it also justifies a higher price for the deck itself. And why stop there? Darkmoon has more than just the elementals deck. There are 4 decks total. There's elementals, portals, beasts, and warlords. And if we can get our hands on a deck of portals too, we can start expanding into multiple markets. Bigger plays for the bigger quotas. And with that, we have the portals deck obtained. We'll list on the auction house. And right now we just have a few stocks of elemental cards, but we weren't able to find all of the individual cards. So we'll have to hope on some flips on the individual cards. But hopefully the market will move. And that is a lot of our cash stack reinvested. We can't forget the old reliables. A little weak flux to round things out. Keep the today flips moving while we wait on bigger ticket sales. And with so much on the auction house, that's really all we can do. But I'm back for an early night auction house check. And look at this. Salt is moving at 1 gold a piece. That's actually insane. We can buy it straight from Edna for 50 copper. And we can flip it for 200 times the price? I don't know what's going on here. Some people just don't know or don't care. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and restock the salt while it's hot. And with more cash on hand, let's double down into the Darkmoon game. While we were waiting, the missing pieces of the elementals deck went on the auction house, allowing us to actually craft up 2 full decks. And if even one sells overnight for market value, that could secure a spot for day 10. And with a few more cards tucked away, some vendor flips restocked, and a quick 11 PM cancel scan and repost, time to sleep with dreams of big sales. And good morning, travelers. We're into the final hours of day 9 with a quota of 256 gold in the sights. But right now our bags are pretty light. So let's hope that the mailbox isn't. Expired auctions first, but then, here we go. Our first elemental deck actually sold for 87 gold, and the second one for 83. That's 170 straight into the bags, which puts us back up to 180 gold. Still shy of the quota, but within striking distance. Now the portals deck didn't sell, but we only need 76 more gold before the reset. And right now, it's time to push trade chat hard. The portals deck is still in inventory, so we'll advertise it and repost everything else, and with a few coal trickling in as well, but not in the mailbox yet, every silver still matters. And if we're spamming trade chat anyway, we may as well fish. I mean, who knows, maybe the elusive 1 ring will drop, which would definitely be a nice bite. But speaking of bites, someone actually whispered us for our portals deck. After a little bit of haggling, we ended up cutting a quick sale for 75 gold, which fair enough is below market, but huge shout out to XS Zugs if you see this, because you may have just saved the run. Because that puts us at 254 gold, just barely shy of the quota, but remember, we have that coal coming into the mailbox, which nets us another 9 gold. And with that, a 263 total, and the quota achieved. So travelers, we are officially at 263 gold on day 9, with only 10 hours and 47 minutes played. That's averaging nearly 25 gold per hour on a level 5 pacifist. Absolutely wild. Well, I'm off for breakfast until 11 AM. Okay, travelers, and here we are. Day 10, and the quota is 512 gold, over half 1,000. And we have capital. And we also have a messy but growing inventory. Of course, we gotta check the great deal search to see if there's any new targets. I do see these, the blue dragon scale shoulders. These are 8 gold, and we could probably triple up on them, so we'll grab them, but we still need some much bigger moves. And I think our best bet is the Darkmoon gamble. Today, let's expand into the market of the Warlords deck. The cards are cheap, so we can scoop up enough for a deck, plus a fair amount of extra stock to corner the market on individual cards as well. I'll list the deck at 125 gold, and keep the second in reserve for trade chat. A little bit of a strategy, you know, post one very expensive on the auction house, and advertise in trade chat for less. But we can't ignore professions entirely. Now we're only level 5, and to get a higher level of skill we would need to be level 10. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but doing some research, we actually have enough level to get alchemy with some kind of profit. Swiftness potions. The recipe can be bought on the auction house, and the materials are just briar and swift thistle. The base cost of the materials are about 30 silver, but the swiftness potion itself sells for 40 to 45 silver, which is a 10 to 15 silver profit each. It's not glamorous, but it's a consistent sale we can do. And while we craft, we can actually search the auction house. Right now, it looks like the copper ore market is a bit primed for a reset, so we'll buy it all out to a certain price and relist it. A little bit of profit, but it all adds up. Alright travelers, and we're getting into the afternoon. And the swiftness pots are moving, and so is our copper bullets reset. But the quota today is steep. And look at this. Someone's advertising in trade chat for a Where's Waldo competition in Stormwind. The prize is 600 gold, which is ironically pretty much our quota for today. This isn't scripted, not planned, I don't know Waldo. But goal is to find him, open trade, and win. Now travelers, it's a long shot, but why not? Let's make a /target macro and a /open trade macro. We can spend the next 15 minutes just searching for Waldo. If we find him, we make the quota. But unfortunately, after 15 minutes, Waldo remains hidden. And travelers, without finding Waldo, the picture is looking a little bit grim. Coal, salt, and flux, which are our reliable staples, aren't really selling. And I have not been able to move any of these Darkmoon decks all day. I think the Warlords deck just might not be as good. People seem to bite on the elementals and the portals way more than the Warlords in /2. And we did invest very heavily in the deck, as well as a few of the cards. And at this point in the day, I don't want to reinvest too much in other decks because it's too risky. So all I can really do is make sure the cheapest on the auction house, do repo scans, and spam /2. I'll do this for most of the night and we'll see what happens. Alright, good morning travelers, and morning comes. Time for the mailbox check. Nothing. Oh boy. I don't know, maybe the writing's written on the wall. Unless every Darkmoon deck sells here in the next couple hours, I don't think we're hitting 512 gold. But I can sit here, spam /2, and relist. And we did get one offer here for 60 gold. It's not enough to save the run, because if you can look, we're about 4 minutes from cutoff. I mean, I'm still going to take it. It's a good deal for Gray. You get the deck, and I get a little extra money. And with 1 minute left on day 10, our final trade is entered, and we fall short. And the double down challenge ends here. But travelers, even though we failed the challenge, we knew we were going to fail at some point, but look how far we came. We passed 256 gold in the bags, on a level 5 pacifist, and made 10 days of this challenge. Way further than I would have ever expected. But here's my question. Would you want to see this challenge return, but with leveling, killing, and grinding allowed? Imagine being able to hit level 60 within the challenge, an AoE farm as a mage or something like that. It's possible. Until then, check out this series where it all began. Back in Elwyn Forest, I locked myself into the zone until I earned a WoW token. And as always, go with honor, friend.